Thank you so much, Karam. Hey, VRTO. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, and thank you all for being here. My name is Debbie Deer. If you want to reach me, you can scan this QR code and find all my sordid details. But today we're going to be talking about the future of diverse voices in XR and how we influence AI in the time of the singularity. So big mouthful. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna keep it going. Oh, how do I start my timer? Thank you, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna get right into it. Has anybody heard of Ray Kurzweil in here? Everyone, okay, good. I first heard of Ray maybe 8 years ago, and I was really fascinated by the concept of the singularity. But essentially, speed superintelligence is one of Kurzweil's theories, and essentially he thinks that very soon into the future, just by 2045, we are going to be at a super speed human intelligence or AI intelligence. And it will take 30 seconds for an AI to learn what will take the average human 1 year, right? And we can see what kind of implications that will have for humanity if a computer is able to take 30 seconds to learn data that takes us a year. That will potentially make us obsolete, right? Outside of biological functioning and certain other motor skills and dexterity that we might need. But 20 years from now, who knows how advanced we will be. So why should we care about AI, let alone making this superhuman extension of humanity? Thank you for the background music. Diverse and conscientious. So approximately 3 years ago, I had my first AR project, which was Henry G20. If we remember the G20 riots, anyone? Yeah, they were nasty. For those of you who don't know, there was a G20 summit and there were some protesters, and unfortunately within the span of 48 hours, over 1,000 people were detained and thrown in jail and unfed and treated really poorly. But outside of that, along with Christine Brubaker, we brought that to life with an augmented pod play. And my job as visual lead was to create these 3D characters. And it was the first time I had to think, what do humans look like, right? Like, am I gonna make someone with a six-pack and the perfect snatched waist with legs down to there? Kim says yes, that's what we all wanna see. But maybe we wanna see someone who looks a little more everyday. Maybe we wanna see different complexions. Maybe we wanna see different gender identities. Maybe we wanna see different body types that don't look like Ken and Barbie. So I decided that this was the 3D modeling that I wanted to do, and it was the first time it made me think we need to be very conscientious and deliberate as extended reality makers. So I'm gonna play my first video, and then we're gonna play a little guessing game. Hit it, Josh.
Hi VRTO audience. Thank you all for joining me and Debbie today. Let's make this short and sweet. Let's see by a show of hands. How many of you think I'm an AI? I'll give you a sec. Debbie, what do you think? Were they mostly right?
Looked like about 90% right, yeah.
If you didn't figure it out yet, I'm an AI host. Why is it important for us AIs to be diverse? It's pretty obvious to me. But here are a few reasons why diversity in tech matters. According to a recent survey in June 2024 by Tech Report, 62% of people in high-tech industries are white, 20% are Asian, 8% are Hispanic, 7% are Black, 3% are multiracial. Get this. Google, the largest search engine in the world, has 83% men, 60% white men, and 34% Asians in their workforce. Considering that Google has one of the largest databases online and is potentially used as the basis for many LLMs or learned language models for bots like me, we can see that these stats make the AI playing field today pretty imbalanced.
Thanks, AI host. I didn't name her. She looks like a Cindy to me. But yeah, these are the stats. 62% white, 20% Asian, 8% Hispanic, 7% Black, 3% multiracial. I don't know if you guys notice, I'm Black, and that means I'm only in the 7th percentile of voting, of decision making, and of course, I want the world to be a human place, the human race. But when we see these disparities, we understand that with those disparities come biases inherently. So that's pretty much the 2 main demographics, and this is just for men, for Google. So literally, it's a very large percentage. It's essentially 94% non-ethnic. That's a lot of food for thought. I recently learned that statistic, and it made me think. So why should you even listen to what I'm saying? Aside of the fact that I have a cute outfit on. Which is good enough reason. But I am Debbie Deere. I'm the founder and CEO of Debbie Deere Productions and Orion Digital Inc. I'm a creative technologist. I am Jamaican. Is there any Jamaican? Any chance there's one more Jamaican in here? Oh well. Anybody been to Jamaica though? Woo! Okay, and yeah, so I moved to Canada 15 years ago, and my background is actually in psychology, and then I had to do general arts and sciences at Seneca to get into Ryerson, now Toronto Metro U. I reference psychology for reasons you will discover, but when I was at Seneca, I was accused of plagiarism and actually withheld from taking my exams for a substantial amount of time based on my race solely. Now, to the left, and that's consequential because I'm drawing the correlation between the biases and how they influence your trajectory. So to the left, that's me and my brother and my mom and dad in the 90s. And yeah, that picture brings a lot of memories to me because my father, who is a scientist turned psychologist, discovered the Chagas bug, and he also pioneered psychometric testing in the Caribbean. My mom worked for the Prime Minister of Jamaica, so we had a very professional background, very scientific background, and one that had some really big shoes to fill. My brother Ainsley, he is here as a entrepreneur as well. I'm really proud of this legacy, but I understand that we were afforded privileges that a lot of people in my position weren't. And even with this background, I've had to really claw my way out of, unfortunately, racism and biases while in this country. So one thing that helped me to do that was the Oya Black Arts Scale Up Immersive Program. Yeah, you know. And I'm very proud to say that from that, which I started 3 years ago, I was able to start my tech company startup. And I was in the cohort for 4 years, and then I became the Indigenous Black People of Color Fellowship Director for the Performance and XR Conference. We give 8 fellows every year for 2 years the opportunity to learn extended reality by coordinating a simulation in VR chat, typically. We started off with alt space, yeah, that thing. And I'm extremely proud of the work to be able to help students along with Witten and other folks kind of spread the equity. So that leads me to my next slide, which is equity versus charity. Now, being someone who is marginalized, I've learned to differentiate between equity and charity. I used to be content with having a seat at the table, but then I realized if you're not a decision maker, and especially in tech, if you're not a coder, if you are not creating the data and the language models that AI will be formulated on, if we are not influencing the brain of the machine, then we're in serious trouble. Because if we're waiting on the tech oligarchs to do it, it's not gonna look pretty. So what does diversity look like in XR? So to me, it's representation and storytelling for the underserved, marginalized, a seat at the table, texture, and color to the canvas of XR content. So I'm gonna play a trailer, and yeah, it's just gonna give you an idea of the work I've done and what it looks and feels like. Yes, please, thank you.
Thank you.
The thing I appreciate about my work and working with people who think with diverse minds is that we all get a chance to see ourselves. And it doesn't matter where you come from, your sexual orientation, your complexion, your religion. I really do want a human world where we can all see ourselves and connect with each other through empathy. So I'm gonna have to quickly go through this, but these are some highlighted projects. I've spoken a bit about PXR and Luminato Festival, but I've done a lot of work with schools, beta testing, teaching XR in places like York and recently Georgian College. And Nefertiti, who Josh also assisted with in terms of one of my major projects, of which you can demo shortly, thanks to Conestoga College, when this presentation is done. So I think I'm gonna skip through this, but we all know what AI is. We have an idea of diversity. The singularity might be less of a common theory, so it's a theory about artificial intelligence advancing beyond human control. Now, this is a conscientious approach to the future. I don't know if many of us are aware of some of these stats, but the cobalt that's in our phones and in our devices, a lot of it comes from Africa, and unfortunately, they estimate 250,000 people working in mines under some serious conditions, causing death sometimes. And some are even calling it one of the largest unreported genocides in our modern time. So for me, along with the guidance of Tanya Kellen, who's my talent manager, Tanya suggested that an ideal model is people, planet, product, and profit. Essentially designed with people first, as kind of the basis for abundance versus extraction. I will be doing some work with Conestoga College as well, but I will speak more about that later. So benefits of diversity in XR and AI, we have inclusive design and user experience, decision support and transparency, education and awareness, personalized experiences and recommendations, recruitment and talent management, improving workplace environments, and diversity in tech teams. So I brought up empathy because it's really the secret ingredient that will help initiate structural change, because I find that as humans, we're wired to imprint things that have affected us in a profound way. So oftentimes we remember negative things more, but if we've been through something, we are more likely to care about others going through similar things, or even folks in pain. If we haven't been through the thing, such as, let's say, a predominantly white male demographic, and I'm not saying everyone doesn't have their problems, but if you don't have lived experiences, then you won't be able to include the necessary details moving forward into the future for an inclusive society. So I'm from African descent, but if we went all the way back here, we take a look at my mom, and you'll notice that she might present a little differently for an African descent person, and it's because she's actually Germanic, Irish, Scottish, Portuguese background. So it's interesting to have a mother that presented more so what people called more Eurocentric, coming out darker skin tone. So I was always very aware of dynamics with race and how it influenced how you were treated. So in Africa, as an African descended person, I'm aware that DNA, being one of the oldest races on the planet, has a profound impact on our memory and our ability to navigate the world and pass that memory down. So I'm a big advocate for natural intelligence because we are also hardwired to protect the integrity of all living beings. And I think most people in this room can agree with that. So my work with Nefertiti, which is based on ancient Egypt, is an Afrofuturistic hybrid VR/live theater production. Kind of came to me, I want to say in a download, but after doing some research, I found that there were some interesting findings about tech in thousands of years ago. This is one. So in this Osiris temple, 6,000-year-old structure had an atomically etched flower of life in the diagram. This is the temple of Osiris, which is essentially in worship of the god of the underworld and is in line with the constellation Orion, which also the pyramids of Giza are in line with. Now, to have this kind of knowledge 6,000 years ago, in fact, even just the knowledge to etch this into stone and have it last 6,000 years was very, very, very advanced, and they have not been able to figure out how it happened. Going a little deeper in 3 minutes, that same temple has been found to have the Christ consciousness grid around it through icosahedrons and dodecahedrons found embedded in the geometric structure. The figure on the left is the Dogan people, which is over 10,000 years old. They were able to demonstrate the Sirius B rotations. They were even able to talk about the density of the planet, and they were able to essentially say that folks who were fish people came down and populated the planet. Now, Nikola Tesla took some of the ideas of the pyramid and created the first Wi-Fi just from the electromagnetic dynamic energy. This has also been found in the pyramids and speculated that they had such communication, and also sacred geometry has been found there as well, including the 369 rule, and the pyramid itself is 3/60ths a degree off true north. This is further demonstration. Now on the left, the mythology of Osiris is that he was murdered and his wife on the left was resurrecting him. Now that sounds like a nice creation story, but when you look on the walls, she's actually in the hieroglyph demonstrating code and how codes can be used to essentially genetically modify things thousands of years ago. So, to wrap up in the 1 minute and 30 seconds that I have, I know that was a mouthful, but the reason why I drew that correlation is because obviously in certain advanced and ancient societies, we were aware that we had the technology within us to an extent. There was almost a form of psychic, if not assisted communication, if you will, from who knows where, that allowed us to advance. And I actually think we've retracted a bit and we're finally getting back there. So I think if we remember that we do have a good idea of how to create a utopia using technology, but that we are the true magic as humans. And we're the ones responsible as the citizens of the world, and we're the ones who will be the digital citizens in the end. So to go back to the singularity, I think it's inevitable that we will be neck and neck with AI. And I think it's our responsibility to know, as people who have been through various things in life, that we are conscientious how we move forward so that we preserve the planet for the ones to follow after. So without further ado, one more video, please, if you will. And this is the demo.
Welcome, traveler. We have been waiting for your arrival. You are going to be transported to our universe and beyond.
Thank you.
Talk to us. There's a lot of folks here who are very new to this industry, to all of it, to everything, finding work, developing, writing.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little more about OBAC, Oya, like these initiatives, the new initiatives that you're working on. Just give us a sense of like, how do you get in? What are you looking for? How does it work?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Kiram. You mind if I address
Please,
the
please.
crowd? Yeah, so how to get in, the quickest way to ease the barrier to entry is to find mentorship programs. So Oya Black Arts Coalition, OBAC, Joseph Ellsworth is there. Joseph has been a very big mentor of mine and many others. Witten as well. So the program it actually closed this year, and it was a program that allowed Black emerging XR artists to enter into the field through mentorship and through allowing us to prototype an experience under guidance. So I didn't just do one of them. I would advise doing several of them, just because you get to meet more people and you also get to have more experience. So I went into Gamma Space with Weird Ghosts. That's an organization that funds tech startups. It gives you $20K, I believe, up to get your feet off the ground. And then I went back to Oya Black Arts Coalition for the commercialization stream. Now that stream is extremely important because you start to realize that with tech, you're actually more technician than you are artist. And because XR is so vast and nebulous, it's not always easy to make money. It's actually very hard to make money if you're not Meta or Apple. So the best thing you can do is try to learn as much as you can, leverage your mentors. I would say build a project, even as a prototype, and then try to get funding and work with people who are more established from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
There's a lot of initiatives in this city, and when I spoke to people like Kadan Douglas and Shanaz Baksh and all these people all over the place, they often say that the problem is people are afraid to ask because they've been turned down so many times before. They're like, what's the point? I'm never gonna get accepted.
Yeah.
How do you address that person?
Yeah, well, I would say sorry. You know, it sucks when you're not accepted. But I would also say look at what you're presenting, right? Because a lot of times people do want to help you.
Wait a minute. Not to these programs. I'm saying in general, people don't bother to look.
Yeah.
Because they just don't think that there's a path, right? So how do you reach those people? Where should they even, again, like what's at their doorstep? What website should they go to? Like
PXR, I would say Performance and XR Conference, just because that's how I got into it. I just messaged them and I was like, hey, I want to be a part of the conference. How do I do that? They said, what have you worked on? And they put Nefertiti in when it was like a baby, you know? So I find that if folks show up, they have more of a chance of getting helped.
right.
Because you'll be surprised. There are people like me who really want to help people. In fact, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I'm just going to say something that actually happened. Can you tell them how you got into Oya Black Arts Coalition? Very briefly. Just say it. Why you got in.
Hello, everyone. I got into Oya Black Arts. I actually tried applying. I didn't know anything about XR, VR. And then I actually I wanted to see who of color had done anything ever. And I saw Debbie Deer. I've never met her before in my life, before last year. And I saw everything that she did with, what was it, 2020?
Yeah, Henry G20.
Yes. Yeah. I saw all of her projects and I was so inspired. And I was like, if she can do that and she went to Oya, I want to do that too. And so it's because of her. And I mentioned you in my interview and everything. I was like, Debbie Deer, I want to do what she does. Yeah, so thank you.
I really appreciate that. But thank you. Thank you, Jenny. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there are people who are watching you, observing you, and there are people like me who, you know, I'm not that far off from being there, who really want to help other people get there.
Yeah, my mom is a first-generation Ecuadorian, came here 14 years old by herself, and she has had so many people say, I tried because I saw you, right?
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, that's what's important. So
thank you.
You do have a booth
So
upstairs?
that's an example. Yeah.
Please go visit them and you know, don't just walk by and grab a breath mint, like get engaged. The whole point of a conference really is to have a conference, right? So it's not like a zoo, like, ooh, let's go in and get in dirty. I've seen people on this floor get hired, start companies, let it get a little weird, like just you have the dialogue. But I appreciate like kind of lowering the drawbridge a bit so people know that it's them, right?
It's all them. And there's one more thing too. The National Arts Center, because of the work that we did with PXR, is now starting an XR program. So I believe they're taking on some apprentices, I believe, a few of them. So even in doing the work, when you continue to do the work, then more people will follow and more people will kind of create the community from the ground up.
Okay,
So, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.